This is the second part of chapter 18. Just a moment then. The man puckered his mouth, pulling the skin on his cheek taut. I warn you, you can't let a beard grow too long out here. Next thing you know, you're a family of glowworms living in your sideburns. He looked sternly at Fred, which is not as appealing as it sounds. Thank you, said Fred. He tried not to laugh. I remember that, although I actually can't grow a beard. The explorer pulled off his jacket and hooked it on a branch of the tree. The jacket was made from a variety of dark furs. Some still had legs attached. The tree, Fred could see, was used as a kind of wardrobe. It also had a spare shirt hanging from a convenient branch. Fred looked closer. The branch the jacket hung on had been tied to the tree by hand, looped in a figure of 8 with vines. He felt a jag of recognition run through his blood. He shivered. The explorer looked surprised. Are you unwell, boy? No, nothing like that. It's just, I've seen a branch tied on that like that before, on a mooring post at the den near the bees. It must have been you. Very likely. I use that knot a good deal. It lasts for years if you get it right. Are you sure you're not sick? The explorer looked sharply at him. I have no wish to care for a sick child. There's a waterproof great coat I made somewhere, if you don't mind the smell of fish. I'm fine, really. And I made a scarf once, out of monkeys. Monkeys? Fred tried not to look as appalled as he felt. Yes, but they kept fighting and it wasn't worth the fleas. You made a scarf out of alive monkeys? A scarf may have been a somewhat hubristic exaggeration. I draped half a dozen small monkeys around my shoulders. It was not ideal. The explorer set off up the steep incline that surrounded the clearing. Keep up. Were they tame? I thought they were. He picked up a machete, smacked the flat side against his palm. I'd been taming them for a year. It turned out they were less docile than I imagined. Until you've had a monkey mistake your nose for a fig, you don't know what waking up too suddenly means. The explorer strode out, heading to where the forest grew thickly. Don't lag, he called. Fred thought guiltily about the others, who might at any moment wake up and find him gone, but most of his energy was needed to keep up with the man's pace. Despite his limp, he moved twice as fast as Fred, and 5 times as quietly. Don't we need to mark the trees to find our way back? Panted Fred. The explorer turned. He looked astonished, or it might, Fred thought, have been affronted. What do you take me for? No, we don't need to mark the trees, no more than you would need to mark the wall between your bedroom and your lavatory. This is my home. He gestured to the trees around them, which were thinner than those circling the city in a lighter shade of green. We'll get wood here for the trap. See this? He pointed to a branch as thick as Fred's wrist. Cut me 2 branches like that. They should be as straight as possible. That's a good tree over there. Here. He handed Fred the machete and began stripping down a vine into a thin rope. The machete had a wonderful weight to it. It was exquisitely made, with a carved handle and a blade that caught the sun and threw back light in silver and green. This is beautiful, said Fred. He gave it an experimental swipe. Watch it! Kindly refrain from chopping off your own hand. And cut straight, boy. Don't damage the trees. The explorer bent and brushed some debris away from a green shoot so pale it was almost white. And cut only what you need. Don't hoard. Leave enough that the tree can replenish itself. The greatest threat to living things is man, which is not a thought to make one proud. He waved a hand to encompass the close-growing trees, the boundless green spreading leaves. It is humans who bring about the end of all this. Do you understand? The city and the trees that disguise it from the land and sky. It needs protecting. Protecting from us, though, said Fred. He swept the machete through the air again. It made a very satisfying whistling sound. What could we do to it? You can talk. Children are terrible at keeping secrets, and some kinds of knowledge are vulnerable. Like a breathing thing, they require great care. I've kept hundreds of secrets, Fred said, but as he turned towards the trees he wondered if that was true. He had never had a secret so valuable. He had never had a secret that would make his father put down his newspaper and turn to look at him. This place needs protecting from humans, said the explorer. I find it hard not to be wary of my fellow countrymen. They care about the wrong things. I used to sit in the train carriage with the same men every day on the 7:15 to Paddington, and I would look at them and think, you wake up in the morning and you put on your trousers and you don't even think about the beauty of the Amazon River. How do you justify that? And I did not admire our Prime Minister. He is very well dressed, but despite his many protestations to the contrary, I am not 100% convinced he can read. He shot out a sudden hand and grabbed Fred's wrist, mid-machete swipe. Boy! Careful! Hold it with the blade facing away from you. Cutting yourself with the machete is extremely gore. Here, cut that branch, the green one. Fred swept the machete down over a branch as thick as his wrist. The first time the machete got stuck in the wood and he tugged at it. I recommend you take care, said the explorer. Whatever our differences of opinion, I have no wish to see you open a blood vessel. On the second try, it came away with a satisfying thump. Good. Are you watching? I do not expect to have to show you twice. The explorer selected a spriggy sapling tree, 4 feet tall, its trunk barely thicker than Fred's thumb. Tie the rope round the tip of the sapling, he said. Fred did so, while the explorer searched around the ground and located a Y-shaped branch the size of a catapult. Good. Hand me the machete. He held out his hand, a surgeon mid-operation. Carefully using the handle of the machete, he knocked the Y-shaped branch into the ground near the sapling, so that only the Y was showing. Now tie the other end of the rope around your green branch. In the middle, yes, but leave the end free. It needs to be a noose, a loop knot. We're building a spring snare. Fumbling, Fred followed the man's instructions. He had practiced knot tying in his bedroom under the covers late at night in the forbidden small hours. The explorer nodded approval, and Fred felt a surge of pride prickle in his fingers. Now watch. The man pulled down on the rope, and the sapling bent forward as if saluting. He wedged a green branch into the Y. The rope stretched taut. The slightest movement will make the green branch spring free. So an animal puts its foot in the noose, the sapling springs up, the slip knot tightens, and you have dinner. What's it for? Fred asked, examining it from every angle. What does it catch? Come on, said the explorer, let's go. I have other things to do. It's for whatever crawls into it. Rats, armadillos. You eat rats? Of course, if I have to. I've eaten many things over the years that I have not precisely enjoyed, but have appreciated nonetheless. Snails, spiders. Spiders? Certain spiders are remarkably delicious. I could help you find them, but I have no desire to help you unless you swear to keep silence about this place. Fred bit his lip together. No, the explorer said, you prefer to align yourself with men who loot from the land and its history. They don't. Fred thought of the men striding across the pages of his books. They don't do that at all. Certainly there are some who do not, but how many? You wish to invite the world to come and stare. You gamble on the morality of the world at large, do you? Fred's stomach contracted. He said nothing. His heart thrummed painfully, but he forced himself not to look away. Brusquely the explorer took the machete from Fred and began to hack off thick branches for firewood. His ring caught the light. Fred tried to change the subject. Your ring? He was about to say. Why do you wear a ring in the jungle? But he thought the explorer didn't seem to welcome personal questions, and he was swinging the machete very close to Fred's knees. What's it made from? Fish scales and caiman bone. The explorer's pride in it seemed to wrestle with his anger at Fred. Then he took the ring off and held it out. Here. On the inside, rim words had been cut. Fred read, Nec aspera terrent. Latin. Roughly, it means difficulties be damned. Do you think it's peculiar to wear a ring out here? Fred did think exactly that, but it seemed a bad place and time to say so. He laughed awkwardly instead. The explorer raised his eyebrows. While we're on the subject, why did you dress like a minor state administrator to come to the jungle? You look like you're running for mayor of Tunbridge Wells. Fred looked down at himself in surprise. This was my school uniform and my cricket jersey. My father says you should always wear a uniform where possible. He's that kind of man. I didn't know I was coming to the jungle. You should always dress as if you might be going to the jungle. You never know when you might meet an adventure. I'm at a boarding school in Norfolk, Gresham's, on the Cromwell Road. And? It's just, I'm much more likely to meet a geography teacher than an adventurer. The explorer looked at the world around them, and then hard at Fred. And yet, here you are, he said. With great care, he detached a branch covered in berries from a tree and threw it to Fred, who caught it. Realizing a second too late that the branch was covered in thorns, he said some words his school did not allow him to say. The explorer arched his left eyebrow a quarter of an inch. Fred instantly stopped swearing. Make sure the small one, the boy with the leaking nose, gets some. He's too thin. Try one. Fred put the largest berry in his mouth. The juice burst on his tongue. It was absolutely hideous. He wanted to spit it out, but he had a feeling the explorer wouldn't approve. He swallowed and scrubbed his tongue on the back of his hand. It tastes of petrol, he said, and badgers. I know, but you should eat them anyway. They're rich in vitamins, and they'll be easy to find on your road to Manaus. They grow near the river. I think maybe I'd rather starve. No, you wouldn't. It's a long walk. It's best not to get too hungry if you can avoid it. If you get hungry enough, you'll start feeling that your bad ideas are your good ones. If you get truly famished, you start feeling like a French philosopher, and that's unwise. And he strolled back through the trees, leaving Fred to run, jumping over roots and ant hills to keep pace with him.